Would you believe me if I told you that I biked up here from down there? Maybe not. You'd be correct not to believe me. It was a combination of biking and walking, but either way, traversing this distance entirely on foot, it really helps put into perspective how big the world really is, you know? Traveling seems to oftentimes distort our perception of place and where we are, but that's why I really love biking so much, and why I'm gonna start doing it in every city that I visit. Immersion. This is what traveling is all about. It's one thing to go to a place and see all the touristy things that, you know, you read about and you're like, oh, I wanna go see that, you know? For example, I came to San Francisco and I said, okay, I gotta visit Alcatraz, right? You gotta visit Alcatraz, why not? You know, it's something that you just gotta see. There's a lot of history to it. It's a great thing to learn about and see. But there's so much more to a city than its landmarks, and I think that's something that gets a little bit lost, I think. Now, had I known it was gonna be this much of a hill, I would have probably packed more water, so I'm a little bit out of luck there. I've only got a can of sparkling water, and the story of how I got this is actually quite interesting. About halfway through my trip, the bike chain actually got dislocated, and what had happened was I was shifting, and I wasn't shifting correctly, I guess, and the chain completely fell off and got caught right off of the gears. It wasn't actually on any of the gears, and it was just kind of lodged deep in there. So I had spent about half an hour trying to pull it out. My hands were all black and shit. And mind you, I was in the middle of a neighborhood somewhere in East Oakland. A nice area though, and beautiful houses, nothing sketchy or anything like that. And so I decided to take advantage of that. An old woman walked out and asked me if I was okay. I said sure, but my bike is not. Brings her husband out. Husband's name is Mark. Mark comes over in and he says, hey, how can I help you out? The only thing going through my mind is how many guys does it take to dislodge a bike chain, right? So eventually we pull the motherfucker out. My hands are all still black and charred, and you can even see a little bit's left there. Mark says to me, he says, you want to come inside and wash your hands? I say sure. You know the whole thing the parents say about don't go into strangers' homes and that sort of thing? Well, as you get older, you start to trust your intuition and your gut as far as what's sketchy and what's not. And I trusted Mark. Mark seemed like a really nice guy. He came, he helped me out, he got me back on the road. He saw I was a struggling high school student, yada, yada, yada. I go inside the very nice home and meet the dog. The dog's name is Yvonne. Yvonne's a very nice black pup. Yvonne looks at me, doesn't say anything. In fact, you would think that the dog was dead because of how he just glared absolutely into my soul. Anyway, I wash my hands and I talk to Mark a little bit. Mark gives me a route. He says, go here, and go here. And you actually want to go down 13 and go up Joaquin Miller Road, rather than the path that I was going to take, which was go up some of the back roads. And he was like, do you got any water? And I said, well, yeah, because I did, but then I ran out. So he was like, well, let me see what I got. Now, why Mark doesn't have any regular water is beyond me, but he was like, here, take one of these sparkling waters and get you going. And I was like, thanks, Mark. And an hour later, I get here. You know, I was arms deep into this shit already, so it was like, if I had given up, everything that I had gone through to get here would have been completely pointless. So the moral of the story really is trust your instincts. It was a rough ride here, but not once did I really feel unsafe or uncertain about where I was or what I was doing. You know, I looked like I lived here, and that's really the key to feeling more confident when you're in those sort of neighborhoods where you're just kind of going through, and even if you might be a traveler, you don't have to look like a traveler. You don't have to act like a traveler. Over time, the more you do it, the more you get comfortable with it. And it's like, even if you are fearful, do it anyway. Jump into the deep end, because what happens is your comfort zone, it starts to gradually expand, and your instincts continue to develop more throughout that process as well. You become more acute more keenly observant on what is safe and what is unsafe. You know, you can be adventurous and safe at the same time. People don't believe that, but it's absolutely true. You know, there's always inherent risk in any kind of traveling that you're doing or any kind of activity that you're doing. But there is sort of that safety barrier where the risk is in your hands. So finding where that barrier is and staying on this side of the barrier is going to allow you to have a much more enjoyable traveling experience, especially if you are really looking to immerse yourself more in the places in which you are traveling. That's my stuff there.